It is 8:32 right now on the Breakfast Club. It is time for our broadcast with Marcy and David from the BerkshireEdge.com. That's where you can find all the news and information that they compile and put out 7 days a week. And we're also privileged to have them join us on a Wednesday morning. Good morning, Marcy. Good morning, David.
Good morning. I must say that's impressive what you just said about Robin Hood Radio.
Well, when we put this all together, we decided that, that's what we're mainly here for. So we did spend the extra money, and, it costs us about $1,300 a year just to do the upkeep. But it does keep us on the air whenever there's something that goes wrong that everybody can hear. So it's just one of those expenses that not a lot of small stations put out in the beginning, but we decided it was important enough. So yeah, it's a critical factor that has come in handy numerous times since we've been here.
Right, I'm sure.
All right, well, let us get a look over to what we can find at the BerkshireEdge.com with what you are following this week. And we'll start off with you've now published, 5 parts of a 7-part series exploring the housing market.
Well,
yeah.
Not exactly the housing market, just one developer.
Yeah.
But he is the lens through which we are looking at the housing situation in Great Barrington.
Right.
And, this is, this is a fantastic series that we have, if I must say so myself. And we've, people have written to us and said this is Pulitzer Prize quality material, and we are certainly going to submit it and hope that other people think so. But we have a reporter named Bill Shein who has been doing in-depth articles for us, and so he is doing this 7-part series called The Developer, and he focuses on one developer called Ian Rasch, who has been developing buildings, and Ian is quite controversial. He is, most recently he has bought a building at the corner of not Railroad Street, the corner of Castle Street and Main, which is an apartment building, and it's the previous owner, who died a couple of years ago, really made no repairs on the building, but maintained very low rents. And so it was, it's an interesting group of people who lived there, including a couple of people who write for us, who appreciated the low rents and were able to live in downtown Great Barrington because of it. But Ian Rasch has bought this building, and Ian is backed by a group of investors, so he has resources. And of course, he has to do improvements on the building, and he has to raise the rents. And so he has kicked out all of the tenants, many of whom have lived there for a long time. And there's a great deal of anger toward Ian Rasch in town. However, Bill Shein has been looking at all of his projects and looking at the greater situation of real estate and prices and what the market is, and he has written an extremely fair and balanced series of articles about what the current situation is, what the market is, who the tenants are. Extremely fair about Ian and about what he's doing, and at the same time looking at the broader real estate market, which is not only in Great Barrington, but is the market in towns all over this wider region, where prices have gone way up, and we don't have enough housing for
affordable housing.
Yes,
anyways.
we have no affordable housing. Sorry, David, I'm.
No. I mean, housing that people of modest means can afford.
And and every business is desperate for workers, and yet one after another we have places being built that locals can't afford, And so, Bill is trying to figure out why. It's a fascinating article, really. I mean, we have had so many...
Well, this is part, 5 of 7?
7, yeah.
Yeah.
We've had such response to it. It's really amazing. I don't think anybody else has done anything as thorough. And these are very long articles. I mean, these are, several thousand words with pictures, and he keeps, he's updating them until the very moment. I mean, last night, at 11 o'clock, he was rewriting this before we posted it at midnight. So these are really worth reading and very interesting.
I think by having articles that run that in depth and that many articles, you get a look at both sides of the picture, which you were just talking about. You get a picture of the side that, hey man, this is really wrong. These people shouldn't be evicted from their apartments, and then you get a look at the other side where you have to weigh you have to weigh the good with the bad.
Right.
And it's very rare nowadays that papers will devote this much space to one topic like that.
Well, this is the key issue. I mean, this is the issue of in our area is housing and affordable housing.
Well, it also reflects what the community is becoming,
right,
or has become. And, it was this quiet rural area for a while where, sustained by local businesses and small industries, and that is no longer the case.
Right.
And the families and people and culture that that South Berkshire has had is now eroding away because of these higher real estate prices that make it difficult for just people of ordinary means to live here.
But I want to get back to the person who's writing the article. When I was growing up, you would turn to newspapers, whether it was the New York Times, whether it was the New York Post or Daily News, and you had columnists like Jimmy Breslin comes to mind.
Yeah.
They would cover their beat, and they would do stories like this, long form stories. It might be political, it might be somebody in the community. That's what media used to provide. The print media used to provide in abundance, was the local beat news coverage in depth, and that's what's so important, I think, about your writing like that, and you being able to publish that as well. So
well, that is. That's what we wanted to do when we started The Edge. We wanted to be able to cover in depth the true character of this community, and also,
the challenges it faces.
Yes, right.
Yes.
So we're very. I must say, we're very excited about the series.
Right.
And
congratulations on that article. I think it's great, and hopefully people read it. They get a better understanding. Not that they agree with it, but they get a better understanding of the whole situation as a whole.
Well, the other thing that he says about Ian, which he has to point out, is that whereas most developers are interested in doing large-scale projects, they want to build a multi-building apartment complex on open land. What Ian is doing is he is taking old buildings and preserving them, and building inside them, but upgrading them, preserving them, keeping the character of the town, at least on the exterior, And so, he says this is unusual. Bill is saying is that there isn't anybody else really who's doing this kind of thing. It has its pluses and its minuses, but it is certainly, it's homegrown. Ian grew up here. He stayed here. He's working here in his home community. He lives in Egremont. Or Sheffield. Anyway, we're nearby.
All right.
So it's he is he's a local phenomenon.
Well, your next story is also a very interesting story that hometown news provides that you don't get from region-wide papers, and that is your story about the harm reduction mobile unit that has been put into action.
That's right.
Yeah.
Right.
I mean, this is a guy who is driving around 32 towns plus a pair of cities. I guess that would be
North Adams
and North Adams and Pittsfield. It's a program of Berkshire Health Systems, and he is trying to teach people about harm reduction to themselves. So he's providing vital services to the community, and he's teaching people about sexually transmitted infections, HIV, hepatitis C, testing for individuals over the age of 13, disposal of sharp needles, overdose education, naloxone distribution, hepatitis C treatment, and case management, plus syringe services. So these are all, he just meets people, he gets them to come into his mobile unit.
Which is like a big van.
Yeah, it is a van.
And
it says Berkshire Health Systems, Berkshire Harm Reduction on the side. And this is a delightful young man in a green sweatshirt who's going around town and giving out very important...
Well, around the county.
Around the county,
yeah.
Right. And he, as our writer says, he's a wealth of information, inspiration, and positivity.
and also communication. That's I think that's another step. That the more you communicate like this, the more people that have the problem or have family members or friends that have the problem find out ways to deal with it. Not necessarily solve it, but ways to deal with a problem that is all over this country, not just this area.
Yes.
Right.
And he is, he says he's a recovering something himself, I guess a drug user. And he really wants to help people be healthy.
Right. And I might add that we have here a link to a schedule of where and the locations and the services and so on that he provides, as well as the walk-in clinics that are available too through Berkshire Health Systems. So this is you might say this is the hospital on the road.
And also, the other thing is that we are so lucky to have this kind of local health care system in Berkshire Health Systems. We're in Great Barrington. We have this wonderful little rural hospital called Fairview Hospital, which is an award-winning hospital and much loved by the community. And it and Berkshire Medical Center, which is in Pittsfield, and Bay State Hospital and Springfield, all...
Well, and there's North Adams Hospital in the North County, too.
Right.
So.
Form Berkshire Health Systems. And, it's a very imaginative and, and serious health system.
When you get immediate local health care mixed in with different levels of health care, all within one system. I mean, how good is that? How good is that?
They all have your records. You can go to any one of them. I mean, when David had a medical problem, he went to Fairview. They immediately made an appointment with him for him with a doctor in Pittsfield, and he had surgery 3 days later in the hospital in Pittsfield, and it was all coordinated across the county. So it's and so this is another.
Yeah, I think it's really remarkable for a little rural area like as we are.
Right.
That we have such a professional and excellent healthcare system
and accessible That's the other thing. You know, the United States has the greatest health care in the world. How accessible is it?
Yes,
and to
exactly.
have, and I think the accessibility of what you're talking about, is really one of the most important parts.
Especially in a rural area.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah.
Well, we'll move on from that to movie buffs. You've got
We're non-rural area.
it's an overview of the New York Film Festival.
Right. Well, we just thought we want to give you, your listeners or our listeners, an idea of the range of stuff that we have in the Edge. So we have an article by a woman named Barbara Court, and she and her husband Leonard Court write frequently. They live between the Berkshires and Manhattan, and they write frequently about film, which is their specialty. And so here we have a very comprehensive article about reflections on the 60th annual New York Film Festival, which is, I think it's just finished. So anybody who's interested in film,
and getting a peek at some films that will be appearing at some point in our local theaters,
right?
Yes, the courts are really good.
Yes, I mean he teaches at NYU. He teaches film, I think,
right.
at NYU, and I think she is also a film professional. So,
we're lucky to have in this area, Marshall, as you know, these really, really great and accomplished people who are experts in certain fields, and we can draw upon them and their expertise. This is it's one of the benefits of being here.
It's when we founded this radio station, we have 36 people that do weekly programs, all volunteers, and some of them are world renowned, and some of them are region renowned. But that is the great. You're right. That's absolutely, our radio station wouldn't be possible without having those type of people who live in our area.
Yeah, the Edge wouldn't be possible either without these. Even one of the writers that we just happened to talk about, which is Bill Shein, for example. And then we have, the Quartz, who are film experts.
And then we have, in our summer, we have the Newburgers, who write...
Eli and Carolyn.
Write music, and lately Jacob's Pillow reviews, and he is a retired doctor and also a Juilliard graduate who plays the tuba, and she is... a retired child psychologist and a very talented artist, and she plays the washboard in his band. And we have people like this who are writing for the Edge. You don't find that anywhere else. No. I mean, these are not professional journalists. These are people who have something really interesting to say, and they can express it extremely well. And so we are very lucky to have a steady supply of these interesting people.
Yeah. And, I got to move on to your next story because it happens every election season. It doesn't matter whether it's a national election, state election, or local election. People that steal signs.
They steal each other's signs.
And you've got a letter
you've
got a letter to the editor. I mean, it happened to me with my Bernie Sanders signs, where I finally had to put.
Oh, really?
I had to put nails and oil around the side of them, so when people come to take them away, they were in danger. It's crazy. It's crazy.
Well, maybe Bernie Sanders, they might be collector's items.
Well, we have a letter to the editor, and actually, that starts out to the person who ripped my lawn sign off its
metal supports.
A sign that referred to a measure on the ballot. You have violated my right to free speech.
Yeah.
And you don't have the right to do that, and in case you're unaware of this, it's against the law. So that sums it up. And, of course, the writer then goes on to talk about free speech and how important it is in this country to be able to put up lawn signs. And even if you feel ineffective and powerless, welcome to democracy, but you have the right to vote, but not to steal my lawn signs.
That's exactly right. I want to go to your Business Monday article, and you call it a Great Barrington institution, and it is, and that's Barrington Brewery. I can't believe how long that it's been around. It seems like only yesterday to me that happened.
Yeah, it's been. Do we say in the article when it was started? I can't remember, but it is a wonderful, and and talking about a place that's welcoming to both locals and visitors and second homeowners. Barrington Brewery is really, it's a very welcoming.
Yeah, we did. It was opened in 1995.
95, right?
Yep.
So it's been 27 years,
Yep.
and it is co-owned by two men. Gary Happ and what is his
Andrew
name?
Mankin.
Andrew Mankin. And
Yep.
Andrew is the brewer, and Gary runs the restaurant. And also they have a second building on the site called Chrissy Farm, which used to be a dairy, and it's now one of the it is a rental hall with a catering service and, of course, access to this wonderful homegrown beer. And what we're trying to do in our business stories is not only describe a business, these aren't puff pieces about businesses. These are really an effort to communicate what it's like to run a business in the Berkshires. And so Gary very honestly talks about the problems that they've had in staying open, what their strengths are, and how they evolved. It's a really, I'm sure many people who are listening have been to Barrington Brewery, but now you can know a little bit more about how they evolved, how they operate, what the issues they, and the fact that they almost burned down in 1997. There was a huge fire in their building that was apparently set, and they managed to salvage it and keep going. And so it's a terrific place with good food and great local beer. And the secret ingredient is that they are completely solar powered, which apparently makes a big difference in the beer and has put them on the map. They were one of the 40 important breweries across the world that was completely powered by solar power, and so it put them, them and Great Barrington on the map.
And in your Business Monday section, we can also wrap up the show with this. We have about a minute, but it goes to the other side as well, and that is the closing of a restaurant in Pittsfield.
Right.
Oh, yeah.
The Mission restaurant.
Yeah, that's really too bad.
Right.
Because they had jazz there
on Monday
on
night.
Monday nights, and so it's really a shame. But
yes, and they haven't really said it, but they are suddenly closing on October 31st, which is a Monday. So I am imagining that they were, they're going to have their last Jazz Monday on October 31st on Halloween. And this is, this is written by, again, another local writer who writes to us on a volunteer basis, a man named Bob Lumen, who's also a terrific chef. He writes us articles about food and with recipes. And he's also a jazz buff, and he's written us, this wonderful article about what the Mission Restaurant has accomplished in Pittsfield and what a hole it's leaving as it closes.
Yeah, too bad.
And what's the great side? But that's what we only have about 30 seconds left. But that's your business section. Like I said, it handles the highs and lows, and does give you a complete view into what it's like to operate a small business.
That's what we're trying to accomplish on Business Monday, and it's we're about to expand our Business Monday coverage too. So stay tuned.
All right. Well, These stories and many, many more, we just scratched the surface when we talk here on the radio at the BerkshireEdge.com. I want you guys to have a good weekend this weekend.
You too.
Well, you too.
Happy Halloween.
That's right.
Yeah, right.
Every day's Halloween. Every day's Halloween in my life. Okay. Have yourself a great weekend, guys.
Thank you.
Okay,
Take
we will.
care.
Okay.
You too.
Bye-bye.
Bye.
Bye-bye.
Bye.
That is the Berkshire Edge on air. You'll find them at the BerkshireEdge.com on the web.